Alrighty, my Gap Dev Gangsteronios. Moving forward, now we have the player and we have the level set up. So next we need some obstacles. So over here inside of our blueprints, I'm going to right click and create a new blueprint class, and it is going to inherit from the actor. And this one is going to be BP underscore moving obstacle. So obstacle, there you go. Of course, double click this bad boy, open it over here in the blueprint editor, and we are going to add some, components to it. So over here, we are going to filter for the static mesh. There you go. And I'm simply going to call this one mesh and then dash and then obstacle. There you go. Compile and save that. For the obstacle, or what am I going to use as a static mesh, or a 3D model that is, I am going to use a cube. So it's actually, here it is, shape cube, and there you go. And also here for the material, I'm going to use the clay material. So the clay old one, this is the one that I'm going to use. Hit compile and save that. And next we are going to add 2 more of these. But before, and when I say 2 more of these, I mean 2 more components. But I'm also going to drag the mesh obstacle and make it the root component of our moving obstacle blueprint. And next on it, I'm going to right click and filter here in the search for an arrow. And here you go. So we're going to have the start point, and I'm going to Control C, Control V and duplicate this. And this one is going to be the end point. So here, instead of the start point, I'm going to rename it to end point and compile and save that. So where are the arrows? Do you see the arrows? I don't see the arrows. Anyways, let me just select this. And there you go. For whatever reason, the arrow, one arrow is this right here, basically. So for the starting point, what I am going to do is I'm going to set it at 137 for the x-axis. There you go. This is going to be the starting point. The end point, I'm going to select it and I'm going to set it to minus 222. And I'm also going to rotate this bad boy by 180 degrees. And basically that's all there is to it. You see now, look at how it looks like. So the starting point can also be 222, and it is now equally distributed among the cube. And we're going to use these starting points, especially inside of the editor, inside of the game, to make them or set them here, basically separate them. So set one over here, set another over here, and the cube is going to move between those 2 points. But for that, we need a few variables. So over here we need, I'm going to right click, one is going to be frame time. So basically, if you didn't see me where I clicked, it's over here. You see this variables when you have over here on the plus button. So if you hover over it, click the plus button, the next variable is going to be our movement speed. The next variable is going to be the current location. There you go. The next variable is going to be the target location. So target location. Next, we have the move to start point. So move to start point. And don't worry, I'm going to explain now for every single variable what we are going to use. So this one's going to be start point location. And last but not least, this is going to be our end point location. So compile and save that. What is happening? What are all of these variables?
What if I tell you that I have more tutorials with better explanations and a more comprehensive guide than this one that you're following? Sounds interesting? Well, that's my Game Development Academy, and inside you have more than 80 courses, more than 500 hours of content for you to learn game development with Unity, Unreal Engine, and everything in between. So, click the link down below and check it out.
First things first, the frame time is going to be a float. So you can change because the red one over here, it denotes it's a Boolean. So you can click on the variable over here and you can hover over and you will see that this is a Boolean. There are 2 ways how we can change the type of the variable. So you can click on it, and over here in the details tab, you see variable type. From here, we can select the drop down list and we can select a float. Or we can click over here on our variable. Look at that, this red icon. So you can click on that, and from there you can select the type of the variable. So frame time is going to be a float. Movement speed is also going to be a float. The current location is going to be a vector because it represents X, Y, and Z. The target location is also going to be a vector. The frame time, we're going to see that in a second what it is. The movement speed is the speed by which we're going to move. The current location is the current location of the cube. The target location is the target location where we are going towards to. Move to start point is going to determine if we are going to move to this start point in the level or are we going to move to the end point over here. And start point location is going to be a vector because we're going to get the location of the starting point, and the end point location is also going to be a vector, and there you go. The movement speed is going to be a public variable over here. And the move to start point is also going to be a public variable over here. What does that mean to be a public one? First things first, I clicked on this eye icon, which will make it public. That means that now over here, when I put this cube in the game, and if I go over here and click on the cube, look at here, I have the movement speed and the move to start point as public variables, and I can change them here from the inspector or the details tab. And this is what I meant when I said in one of the previous videos that you can set, that was about players movement speed. You can set the movement speed over here, you can change it to whichever value you want. By default, I'm going to set here, and for the game character we need to save it. So over here, the default value for the movement speed, I'm going to set that to be 200. That is the default value. Compile and save. So over here inside of our game, you will see now that the default value is 200. Of course, we can change that. We can add it or set it to any value that we want. So now it is the time to go back over here and in the event graph do our thing. So I'm going to delete this one, and from here I'm going to remove these, comments or whatever this is, or you see this over here, and remove it. So in the begin play, we need to set the current values for all of these variables. So we need to take the current location and we need to set that value. So the current location is going to be equal to get actor location. So this is the current location of our actor, e.g. the player, or actually the cube, the obstacle that is moving. So this is the current location of it. Next, we need to set the start point location. So from here, I'm going to say start or set the start point location. So plug this in, and the start point location is going to be this over here. So I'm going to get the start point from here, and from it, I'm going to get his world location. So here I'm going to say get world location, which is going to give us the world location inside of the game, which is basically over here. So it is going to give us the location of the starting point over here inside of the game. So for example, if this arrow moves over here, so if we position this arrow over here, when we use get world location, is going to tell us this location over here of this element. So this is what we are doing over here, and we are going to plug this in. This is the start location. Next, we also need to set or create the end location. So over here, I'm going to drag a node, and the execution order flows over here into the end point location. And from here, take the end point, and I am going to get the world location from the end point. So position it like here and plug in the values over here. That's all there is to it. So now what we are going to do is we are going to determine where we are going to go, or basically determine the target location. So from here, we are going to go inside of a branch, and a branch is an if-else statement basically, which will denote what is true, what is false. And the condition for that is move to start point. So I'm going to plug in the condition into this, move to start point. If it's true, then we are going to say set target location to the start point location. So from here, I'm going to get the start point location, and this goes over here. There you go. I'm going to copy and paste this node. So if it's false, meaning that we should not move to the start point, that means we are going to move to the end point. So from here, I'm going to plug in the end point location. So now we have all the info we need in order for us to start moving. And that is going to happen over here inside of the tick event. And by the way, just briefly going through over here, so we're just setting the current location, setting the start point and end point, and from here, using a branch, we're going to determine, are we going to move to the start point location, or are we going to move to the end point location? So depending on if this value is true or false, and we can set it over here. So I can click on it, I can set it to be true, for example, compile and save. But over here from our gameplay, when I select the moving obstacle, I can also uncheck that value and set it to be false. So that means that one of these can move to the left, to the right, or actually to the start point. Others can move to the end point, and you get the point. How can we move to those locations? Well, from here, first I'm going to set the frame rate. And the frame rate is going to be this delta seconds. And basically delta seconds is the time it takes to complete a frame. That's all there is to it. And we're setting that value over here. And from there, I'm going to set the current location. There you go. So the current location is going to have a value by using v interp to constant. So from here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say v interp, and we want this one, interp to constant, and I'm going to plug this in over here. So this, if I hover over, tries to reach the target at the constant rate. So this is the current location, we need to plug it in. This is the target location. This is the delta time, and that is the reason why we need this over here, delta time. And this is the speed, which is going to be our movement speed. So over here, I am going to plug in the current location, which goes over here. Next, I'm going to plug in the target location, which goes over here. And now we need to plug in the delta time, which is the frame time, basically. So from here, I am going to plug that in. There you go. This is the delta time, and we can change the name over here to delta time. So delta time, which is, you know, more understandable. It will not be confusing for the frame time, but basically frame and delta are the same thing. And last but not least, we need to plug in our movement speed, and I'm going to plug it in over here and compile and save that. And compile and save that. So what is this going to do? This is basically, as I said, we have the current location, which is this right here. Imagine that the current location is here, and we have the target location, which is this bad boy over here. So the target location is here. So this v interp to constant is going to move us from here to here by using this delta time and the speed. I don't know how this calculation is performed behind the scenes. Don't even ask me. I'm not going to, I don't know. So I'm not going to answer, but it is going to do that. So it is going to go from this location to this location using these two variables to calculate that some way. Of course, this interp speed, the higher the value, the faster it will get to this target location. So the higher the value, the faster it will get. Currently, the movement speed has a value of 200. If you set it to 1,000, this will, work faster, and so on and so forth. So over here, next, I'm going to say add, or actually set actor location. And from there, in order to set the actor location, I'm simply going to plug in the new location and compile and save that. And that's all there is to it. So what we are going to do right now, I am going to take this moving obstacle and I'm going to rename it to moving obstacle, like that. And I'm going to call it 1. And over here inside of the level, right click and create a subfolder. I'm going to call this one moving obstacles. There you go. And plug this in over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this. I have pressed the E key and I am going to rotate this to 90 degrees. So it can be negative 90 or it can be 90, your choice, whatever, it's the same result. So now that I have this moving obstacle selected over here inside of the details tab, I'm going to move this a little bit down. Look here in the details tab. We can click on the start point and I can, and by the way, I'm just going to position this one. So location X is going to be 0. Actually, no, not for the starting point, but for the moving obstacle. There you go. Let me just see. Actually, I'm going to move this a little bit upwards. So it can be something like that. Or let's say 100 on the Z. And it can be 0 on the Y, which means it will be positioned in the middle. But now I can take the starting point and I can put the starting point over here. There you go. Up to here is the cube or up to here the cube is going to go. And I can say 885, not 882, it's 885. There you go. And for the end point, I can say negative 885. Voila. If I if I run the game, but before I do that, I'm going to click here on the play. Look at this play. I'm going to click here. And you see here, spawn player at. I'm not going to use the default player start, which is going to spawn me here where the player start is, this right over here. Instead, what I'm going to use is this current camera location. So it is going to spawn the player at the current location where their camera is. Of course, later on, we're going to fix that. But for testing purposes, I'm going to do it right like this. I'm going to hit here play. And I am going to, can I eject myself? Actually, I cannot. Where is my eject? Let me just see over here. Here it is, my eject. So now I can eject the player. Okay, moving this over here so that I can have these. And there you go. So I'm going to stop again and go here so that we can see what is happening. So play, eject, look at that. So it is moving towards the start point, but when it gets there, that's all there is to it. It simply stops. So it simply stops. I'm also going to take this start point and probably move it a little bit. So start point, let's go just a little bit over here, for example. There you go, 922. So 922, and the end point is going to be at negative 922. Voila. So it's going to move from one wall to another. So it is working. It gets to one point, but it is not going back to the other point, back and forth, back and forth. And in order for us to do that, we need to test it out. So from here, when we set the actor location, this right here is going to do the thing that we explained. So it's going to go from the current to the target using these two variables. We are setting that to the current location and setting that to the actor's overall main general master location. But from there, we need to go over here inside of the branch. So I'm going to go into the branch and we need to test a condition. And that condition is going to be, we are first going to get over here. So I'm going to say get actor location. And then I am going to get the target location. So from here, I'm going to drag the target location. I'm going to say get the target location. And I am going to subtract. So I'm going to say minus vector. And I'm going to subtract from the current location the target location. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the vector length. There you go. So we have the vector length. And if this vector length, so from here, I'm going to test if it's less than or equal to. So less than or equal to another float. And that float is value of 0. And then I'm going to plug this in over here. So what is this, teacher? What are you doing? Essentially over here, the code that I wrote, or the blueprint code that I wrote, it's going to take the current location of the actor and the target location, which means where we are going. If the current actor location is here and the target location is here, I'm going to subtract from the current location the target location, which means this right here, I'm going to subtract this right here. And the result of that, I'm going to get the length. And basically the length is going to be the distance that is left between these 2 points. If that distance is less than or equal to 0, that means that our obstacle has reached its target location. So the obstacle has reached its target location. I repeat again. The obstacle, just kidding, you get the point. So if the distance between these 2 points is less than or equal to 0, we reached our location. We reached our location. That was hard to say, fast. Anyways, moving forward. So subtracting from our current location, the target location will give us the distance between those 2. And if that is true, so if this right here is true, if the distance is less than or equal to 0, we are going to go inside of another branch. And this branch is going to test the condition, are we moving to the start point? So currently, are we moving to the start point? That means we are getting near the start point. So if that is the case, from here, I'm going to say set new target location. So set target location, this goes over here, and this goes over here. In both cases, we are going to set the target location. But if move to start point is true, that means we are getting near the starting point. So the new target location is going to be the end point, which means the new target location is the end point. And over here, vice versa, if this move to start point is false, that means we're getting near the end location. So the new location or the new target location should be the starting point. Now from here, we also need to set move to start point. So set that value here is going to be false, and here it is going to be true. And we need to check this checkbox for the true. Compile and save. What the hell is this, teacher? I am going to destroy you. Do not destroy me. I don't encourage you to destroy me. I will not be able to make these tutorial videos. So what is the trick over here? We explained what we are doing over here. If that is true, we are getting into the new branch. If the current movement is towards the move start point, if that is true, the new target location needs to be the end point location. And now move to start point is false because the new target is the end point. So we're moving to the end point, which means the move to start point is false. Over here, if the move to start point was false, that means we were traveling to the end point location. So the new location now is the start point location. And when we set it, then we also need to make sure that the move to start point location or move to start point is set to true, because currently move to start point, you see, it's the new location. Compile and save and go back over here. And let me just save this current, hit the play button, eject myself, and you're going to notice that this cube now is going to bounce back and forth between these locations. You see, it is going to bounce back and forth between the locations. What is left for us to do is to create more of these obstacles. So I am going to take this one, moving obstacle, and I am going to position it over here. And then I am going to hold Alt and create a new one, and Alt and create a new one, and again holding Alt, creating a new one. But now I'm going to select all four of these and holding Alt, creating more new ones. You get the point. Holding Alt, creating even more new ones. Let's go, try it out. There you go. Voila. So these are how many of these obstacles I'm going to have. And by the way, if I hit the play button and over here, you're going to notice that all of these are moving in the same direction. This is the reason why if you select these obstacles, I have set the move to start point to be editable here, and the movement speed will be editable here. So what I'm going to do for this one is going to have the move to start point checked, and the speed is going to be 500. Moving on, the next one, it is going to have the move to start point unchecked, and the speed is going to be, let's say, 400, for example. For this one over here, checked, and the speed is going to be 550. For this one over here, I'm going to uncheck the move to start point, and speed is going to be 350. We're going to randomize the speed, as you can see over here. So going back over here, this one is going to have the movement, move to start point checked, and the speed 450. And this one was 350, 450. This one unchecked. Let's leave it at 300. So next one is going to have checked. And let's say the speed is going to be, I don't know, 480, for example. For this one, selecting it, uncheck. The speed, 250. Moving forward, you get the point. So selecting this one over here. And for this one, I'm going to leave it checked. Move speed, I don't know. Let's say 350. What was for the previous one? 250. And next one over here, uncheck, and let's set the move speed to 500. You get the point. Do that for the remaining ones because it can be tedious. If I hit the play button now, you're going to notice that, you see, the ones that we checked or changed, you see how randomly they are moving. And those here, we did not create, I did not edit them. You saw that, edit them on your own, and you can see the movement right now. So this is going to be challenging for our player to pass. There is also another way how you can randomize the speed. You can also create here minimum and maximum speed, and you can use the random float. So, random float like this in range, and you can have the minimum and the maximum. And then you can set the movement speed like that. There you go. So that can be set as well. So that is something for you to practice, probably. Not probably, but for sure. That is your assignment. If you don't do it, I will not allow you to watch the rest of these videos. I'm just kidding. I cannot do anything. We're online. I cannot control you, okay? But it will be nice for you to do that, to practice, and so on and so forth. Anyways, if something is not clear in regards to this video, make sure that you ask in the comment down below. And I will see you guys in the next video.